topic is wrestling with God. I am from Israel. Israel in Hebrew is Yisrael. Yisra means struggle, wrestle. El is God. Jacob fell asleep on Mount Moriah and he had a dream. And then someone came and he wrestled with him, a messenger. After that, he limped. You don't wrestle with God and walk away the same. So to be a Jew is to wrestle with God. I would say, actually, to be a human being is to wrestle with God. And the question is, does the person realize that? So, in this very second, what comes up for you this second with this phrase, wrestle with God? Here we are. This is your struggle, going through the numbers, winning this wrestling match with God that you fasted for 3 days. You came into the fast with a struggle.
Sure. I think I've been straightforward about that. Yeah, there are lots of struggle. Wow, things have changed,
You were with your father. He was struggling, but for you, the joy and special moment of being able to serve him.
Amen.
He deserved my efforts, and I was glad to give him those efforts. Well, one thing that came up was my long road in conversion. Sort of in the process of conversion, wrestled long and hard with God, reading and rereading the Bible, and haunting at times the Graduate Theological Union in Berkeley, and so on and so forth. So it was long, and there was considerable amount of wrestling.
Wrestling. Let's begin examining that. Wrestling. Tell me, what kinds of images are there for you about wrestling? This process. What was it wrestling? What were you wrestling?
I was studying various issues related to the faith, in a search for the true faith.
The true faith. The true faith. So where's the wrestling? I can say for myself, wrestling with God. Well, first of all, for me, everybody's talking about God, and I was wrestling with what is that? All these people talking about God. What is that for me? What does it mean? How is what they're talking about connected at all to me? And so I looked for examples in my life. I looked for people so that I could drink from them. Maybe I'd find out. And I studied, and I come from a tradition where people study, and so I did a lot of that. And the question was, what's real to me? What's real to me? Oh, they say all their stuff. What's real? What's my experience? Does that in any way echo what you, Bruce, Richard, and Jean, do you feel today that there is a wrestling within you, or it's all soft?
There are still issues that one struggles with, that I struggle with, figuring out what's the sort of the proper interpretation, as it were. And so everyone still finds oneself wrestling.
Wrestling. Did you do wrestling in high school or college? Did you do any wrestling?
In high school, I just in gym class, wrestling was something that I was very bad at sports, but wrestling I was pretty good at.
Look at that. Now, look at that. Bad at a
Yeah.
lot of other things and then good at wrestling of all things.
Yeah, it was sort of odd because, not being particularly strong, but yeah, in high school, I I learned the rules on exactly how they calculated the points, and then figured out how I could beat lots of people by ending up with more points.
And when you is there something in your wrestling with God that's similar to wrestling with people getting points?
I hadn't thought of anything similar now. Well, yeah, there's something different. Uh, I found in wrestling with God, you always lose. Wrestling with people, you often win.
That's true. That's so true. So what is the game? What is the game that we play or that you played? Or Gene, you can chime in. I know that anything that's going on here, you have lots going on.
Hmm.
Uh,
I just am wondering at your image right now.
well, I have all these numbers. I have to change the way the Zoom does this so that it's readable. We will do that now. All these technical issues in life. Oh,
Yeah.
we go there. See,
So
I'm wrestling with the technology.
Right.
And I can tell you that's a lot different from wrestling with God in my experience.
Mhm.
You know?
So you in your image, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Is
I've
there
got
some?
those numbers. Well, I wasn't actually thinking about the numbers as individual, just that there are numbers. You know,
Mhm.
you are, you mentioned that there's a mirror here. Now I'm going to solve it just like that. You see, isn't that so? Is that anything like when we wrestle with God that suddenly one click changes everything? Like it was one way and then whoop, the whole thing changed? Not very much. Just one way that we look at things is now
Yeah,
reversed.
yeah. I mean,
It's reversed.
obviously, in conversion, there's a massive change in the reality that you face.
So when you
Uh,
say conversion,
yeah.
were you some other religion?
No, I know. I sort of grew up in a agnostic family, um, and they were they were big fans of church. They would go to various different churches, depending on where they lived. That as we moved from place to place to the military, choosing a
Alrighty. You said something
different.
that rings a bell here.
Mhm.
The military.
Yeah. Now
Well,
the thing is, yeah. Also, one thing that's ringing a bell for me here with seeing your numbers is that part of my wrestling did have to do with numbers. And what happened was I was studying got involved with a number from the Bible, and started playing around with that, and came up with something that I thought was interesting.
let's
So
hear.
I
Let's
so
hear.
I went up to the at the university. I went up to the math department and asked them for their number theorist. My whole background in number theory was like a 5-minute digression in an undergraduate class. So they said, well, we don't have our most distinguished number theorist is not here, but we do have the second most distinguished. Well, given that I was a layman, I figured second most distinguished was plenty good enough.
Yeah.
And so I went up to his office, and there he had in his office a a man who had grown up but had originally been a child prodigy who had come to the university and had taken all the courses. It was very slow about getting his degree. It took him, I guess he started when he was 12, got his PhD when he was 21, but he wasn't rushing. And so he got interested in that. And I'd sort of made a deal. If the thing I found, I said, well, you know, if the thing I find is 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000, then I say, oh, even 1 in 100, I'll go to church. You know, not that I was promising not to go to church, by the way, if that didn't come about, but I'd say that will get me there. And so I gave him, presented it, and the child prodigy, or the former child prodigy, took off with it and ran it through a computer. And I'd ask for a 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000. And they say, oh, we've run it up to hundreds of thousands. And we think it's probably unique. You know, if we can prove that, maybe we get to publish it in an academic journal. And so that very much impressed me. I figured God had won that round of the wrestling.
Interesting. So when you say God had won that round, how did you interpret God won as opposed to you won?
I don't think there was a big conflict. I was just, in some sense, admittedly, I was playing off of our theme.
Yes. So at the time,
I was looking for. You could say I was looking for an excuse to go to church at that point.
Now isn't that, you begin with the numbers and everything, but in the end, it's about finding a home for your search. Is that close, or does that?
Well, the search continued after that, because
yes,
that was part of the process of becoming a Christian. But then one had to, in finding a fellowship home, you had to narrow it down.
Yes.
So that was becoming a Christian was the beginning, and then there was a considerable amount of study and effort and wrestling with God. Very much wrestling with God.
Well, let's make it into matches. You had your first match here, and you say you won.
I won. God won.
That was a little overpowering, wasn't it, Gene?
What happened, Richard? We lost Richard.
He's been.
Have we lost? We've lost Richard.
No, you just overcame.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, your spirit was so strong that the current couldn't carry it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's see. What was the second match? After you began going to church, you were studying, you said.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that struggle? How did that wrestling match? How do you score points in that one?
Well, I mean, I did a lot of Bible study, fasting, prayer, and so there was that struggle. I mean, the fasting, there's a decent story there in some sense.
Let's hear.
I fasted for 3 days before my baptism.
Wow.
After because that was an old tradition, of the early church. And so then later on, I was looking at the pictures of my baptism, and it was very odd. There was a guy there who I didn't recognize. Who was that guy? I mean, how could there be a guy there that I did not recognize? And then I realized who that person was. It was me. Because I had been fasting for those 3 days and lost a considerable amount of weight.
Wow.
And it also happened that I guess I'd had a beard, and I shaved everything out but a mustache, and I've usually been clean shaven, but when I wasn't clean shaven, I had a beard. And this was the one time that I actually just had a mustache. And so, because of the loss of weight, it was considerable. And the mustache, I didn't recognize myself.
So when you say you didn't recognize, was there something about that was more? Was there a moment when you actually didn't recognize, or is that just a figure of speech? When you
No, I didn't recognize. Who was that? It was that. Admittedly, there isn't a big spiritual message in this, by the way. It wasn't a matter of a spiritual message. It was just that I looked at the picture and I was going, "This is very odd. Why is there somebody I don't recognize at my baptism?" Because everybody there, it was a small affair, and I knew everybody, very well. And I was the only one being baptized. So it didn't make sense that there was somebody there that I didn't recognize. Especially since I was praying, other than the clergyman, I was probably the only man there. Yeah.
Yes. You're laughing while you you're laughing about it.
Yeah, I always felt it was a humorous story.
So you are laughing about something that was at the time a struggle? Could we?
No. I at the time, this is just a humorous story. It didn't involve any particular struggle. No.
Well, this is a match that must have been this was a waltz instead of a struggle. Huh?
Mm-hmm. There was lots of struggle that led up to that point, and maybe lots of struggle since then. But that particular event is just a funny story.
Well, it's you described how you fasted for 3 days and then we waltz. You've been waltzing at that point, and you know how the rhythm of a waltz is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The numbers fit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True. Oh yeah. See, you've written 1, 2, 3 there.
Yeah, these are you fasted 3 days, and you had some difficulty coming in, but then it just became.
Yeah. Well, I done a number of these fasts, and I found them strangely easy to do. Admittedly, yeah. There was one time I was doing a staff fast, and then and on the third day I was working as a cook.
On the third day.
Yeah, I think it was the third day. That I was working as a cook. Yeah. So nothing bad happened associated with that.
We're talking about struggle, and so
Yeah,
far,
that's right.
So far with you, what I get more than struggle is you're laughing the whole time, and then you waltz through it.
Well, just with this story.
In the story. So let's find where's the topic isn't waltzing with God. It's
true.
Wrestle with God.
True. So, I admit.
Listen, I'm not going to wrestle you and try to squeeze it out of you, but I do enjoy that you are smiling through this whole thing as you tell your stories.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting the feeling that when you tell this story, you don't feel so much the pain as much as being the observer now. It seems like when someone else, I think it was Mel Brooks, who said, when someone asked him, what's comedy? Well, What's the difference between comedy and tragedy? Well, when I see you slip on a banana peel, that's comedy. And when I slip, that's tragedy.
Yeah.
And here you're looking at yourself like an observer. You're recounting these stories as if it's funny to watch now that it's over.
Oh, well, yeah, as I say, it's just this one story that I saw as a funny story.
Uh-huh.
No, I think there were other stories where other parts where, as I say, there was long periods of struggle and wrestling. But I have to admit there wasn't a huge amount of struggle and wrestling on that one.
Okay, well, we've got 2 matches that you went through well. So we have now our.
What are we going to do with this drawing?
Well, I'm like a seismograph of disturbance. I'm thinking if we're going to get to one where you have to struggle, it's certainly not a nice straight lines or dots. It's something that it's looking for it's looking for release of this tension and disturbance. This is, I mean, if this is a mind or an emotion or a heart, it's not as pleasant as simple 1, 2, 3 rhythm. Waltz doesn't look like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what was the next stage? What happened? When were you struggling the next time? And now that you touch it, as you listen to your own story, is there something where you really feel a challenge, not at all easy, perhaps even agonizing? I'll tell you, just to relieve you, I will tell you that in my life, it was very, it was the stress is not is I was it filled my life to find this, I thought to be human, to be Jewish, I have to have God. And it was very frustrating. And it's being in a wild goose chase for something important to me. Jean.
Yes. Hi.
This is the first time that we've come together, that you've been so silent. Is that part of your...
I was really curious to see what Richard would say, because I've known him quite a while. And, I know he's gone through struggles, but I was waiting to see what he would volunteer to say, So, sometimes you're wrestling with God's will, his timing, or the silence that you get in response to your prayer. All those things are part of that lead to deeper faith and transformation of your life. I know Richard has had those things happen, but I don't want to, I don't want to talk about mine. I'm just curious to see what he has to say. Do you have anything with regard to the things I mentioned? Like, did you ever have to persevere in your faith, Richard, even though you doubted certain things? What happened for you?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Can you mention any? I think that's the kind of thing he's trying to get at here.
One has to persevere in spite of difficulties and doubts and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in coming to faith, there was a need to persevere. Coming to Christianity in the search for a church, there was definitely a need to persevere.
Yes.
And then, of course, there's the general need to persevere in service and carrying out one's missions.
Right. The call of God on your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
Richard,
that's an ongoing thing.
Richard is a digital evangelist as a Christian. So I know maybe you can remark about how whether there was any wrestling with God in any of these things that you published as a digital evangelist.
Oh, well, yeah, actually, first of all, often there wasn't so much wrestling with God as wrestling
Yeah.
with one's opponents online, and so that would be the wrestling there as a digital evangelist. But generally, the idea is to wrestle with the whole task of getting these things done.
Sure. In other words, like Richard and I have co-published, and there was a certain amount of wrestling with God in those issues. You want to comment on those?
Yeah, I say always wrestling with getting the things done that need to be done. And of course, there was wrestling in publishing with we want to get things published, but also we want to be very sure that we're telling the truth.
Sure. Sure.
And you wrestle with not wanting to interrupt things unnecessarily, but also the desire to tell the truth. And
Sure.
one of the things that leads me there is just the idea that as we struggle for honesty, is that our most important message is that there's salvation in Jesus. We have all these other messages that we want to get over, but if we're tempted to compromise, we should remember that you don't want to be dishonest, because that compromises your ability to testify to salvation in Jesus.
Right. Now, see, that's something that that's probably one of the best things you've come up with in the past half an hour. Because at a certain point, I'm just going to reflect on. I don't think you'll mind if I tell this story. So, Richard had written something years and years ago, and it was patterns in the Old Testament consistent with patterns in the New Testament. And he didn't write it as a biblical scholar. He wrote it when he first came to Jesus. And it was more along the lines of divine revelation. He wasn't a scholar. He didn't really know that much of the Old and New Testament deeply. So he said to me, "Please edit this for me." And I said, I hesitated to do it because I know it was a 30-year-old project he wanted published. And so I got it to a publisher, and the publisher influenced me on which way she wanted the article to go. So finally I finished up, and Richard began to see, this was what the whole wrestling was about. He began to see that I really had to take what he wanted to publish with integrity, run it by these people who were definitive in their fields of Old Testament, and make sure it met with their guidelines. So as a result, we resubmitted it to the people today. And I turned around and I said, "Now do you understand why I waited?" And he said, "Yes." But that was a wrestling process, Richard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I've been wrestling the last day or two, particularly with figuring out how to handle this and the publication of it. And I wanted to make sure things were honest. It was not that I was willing to give up most of what I had said. It wasn't that I was insisting on things being included, but I didn't want anything included that always that is not truthful. So yeah, that was interesting. And yes, most certainly one does have to match things up. Now, one of the great things about this was I had submitted that work to a number of publishers. I had to an apologetics magazine. I had submitted it to since I saw the work as miraculous.
Yeah.
I submitted it to a magazine that did miracles.
Right.
And said no because apparently it just wasn't their style of miracles. They had a particular style, and in the
Right.
apologetics they had particular styles of apologetics, and if you didn't match that style, it did not work. And so I'm very, very familiar with the fact that you have to make sure everything is fitting in with the way that particular journal works. As a matter of fact, we say that in general about the skeptics. Will say, okay, if you guys are right, why is it that you don't have your stuff published in scientific journals and scholarly journals? And the answer is obvious. You're not going to get it published there because, you've got a chemistry journal, and your miracle story is not chemistry, and it's not physics.
Yeah.
It's not biology. It's not history, so on and so forth. It doesn't fit their category. And very often you find a difficult time finding any journal where it fits their category. So you're ultimately, we put it online. And that's what I did with that, with the work that Jeannie worked. She took what I had on online and then sent it to a seminary. And they liked it. And so we have worked in cleaning it up from the seminary, the online version, which was sort of popular and aimed in some sense at non-believers, and trying to whip it into something that would appeal to the seminary. But her idea was I guess I'd sort of realized this was a little bit, but her idea was the right idea of sending it to the seminary because all the editors of the popular journals I sent it to were not interested, and they were right. The general public generally wasn't thrilled by it. On the other hand, when I showed it to biblical scholars and academic professors of seminaries, almost all of them loved it. And in fact, we're very enthusiastic about it. And so it was obvious that it needed to be sent to an academic journal. As much as you think that, oh, well, I've got to go down to get my stuff published. Sometimes you got to go up.
Well, what they say.
Where was the struggle? Where was the struggle in? This is struggle with God, not struggle with publishers.
Yeah, admittedly, you got.
I'm interested. We are here for you to share the story of your struggle with God, if you're willing.
Oh, well, I've done a couple things here. Yeah, admittedly, I hadn't thought about. I'd imagined that there would be 15 people and I would have 30 seconds.
Yeah, imagine that. You've been gifted more than 30 seconds.
Yes.
You've been gifted a platform that enables you to really have an impact. And I know that Jean only invites very vetted guests. So her inviting you means you are highly regarded by her. And so I am very interested in the story that you tell about your struggle, your wrestling with God.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say something. Here, there's a famous saying in the seminary: you can argue with a person's theology, but you can't argue with their story because it is what it is. So Richard, through patterns in the Old and New Testament, was telling his struggle.
Yes.
Now, but if you asked him to sit down and piece that out as a personal struggle, I'm not sure. Well, I mean, okay. So Richard, he took care of
You
his
just
dad.
touched, Jean,
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
touched on something beautiful.
Uh-huh. So, yeah.
Is it, I assert that everything is a personal struggle, even as it is an
Sure.
outward practical struggle.
Exactly.
And so, Richard, I'm not here to put you on the spot, but you knew what the topic was when you came, and I'm certain, I have no doubt that anyone who has the topic called God in his or her life has this struggle,
Mm-hmm.
has this struggle. For some people, even, Jean, you'll tell me
Well,
about
I mean,
Mother
I will.
Teresa. You'll tell me that Mother Teresa herself had her struggles. People think from a distance this
Oh no,
woman
she
must,
struggled.
yeah,
She
she must
struggled.
have it, like she must be like an ever-ready battery. It's just constantly one, but it's not. To be human is to struggle.
No, she had struggles. Now, and Richard has told me, but I hesitate to repeat what he said. Like the times when he was taking care of his father before he died. I mean,
Beautiful.
Richard
Yes.
single-handedly took care of his father. That
Yes.
was great devotion on his part.
Beautiful.
And so there were struggles there. I mean, I just finished taking care of my mother when she passed. And you go through that experience and you hear about someone else's. It's easy to relate to the pain or the struggle, and of course it has to do with God, because God is the only one who sustains you through the experience. Wouldn't you agree, Richard?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Obviously, I went through this thing of taking care of my father in the room that I'm presently sitting in. Um, what I remember from that, one of the things I remember is Dad kept said to me more than once, I know this is real hard for you. And I said, no, Dad, it's really hard for you, but my time's
Yes.
coming. uh, you know, so,
Yeah.
but so admittedly that, my time's coming, and I expect that to be a struggle. But I guess one of the things that I have struggled with is I always had this hope, an idea that I was going to have this huge impact, and be able to bring um, the faith to many people.
Yeah.
And there's has been a struggle that I always see myself falling very short in doing that.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's not that nothing has been done in some sense. You get um, an audience, and you know tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. But I'm an ambitious fellow, and I'm looking for hundreds of millions, uh, and so that is always a, uh, a disappointment, a struggle for me.
Disappointment.
Yeah.
When you call out to God and say, God, couldn't you have given me the grace to reach more people for you? What does he say?
I haven't gotten an answer to that one.
Okay, that's part of the wrestling with God. When he answers you, or when he's silent.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, when he's silent with me, it's because He wants me to move closer to him.
Mhm.
Yeah. And in the course of your, I know, because I've known Richard a long time, your conversion, would you say that you move closer to God?
That would be safe enough. Yeah.
Right. But was it a struggle?
Yes.
And yeah, well, that's, was it a struggle because of the people you were dealing with, or
No.
what was the struggle, Richard?
The struggle was you could say one-on-one with God, though there was also in the people I was dealing with, I had the problem that it sometimes seemed that I couldn't meet anybody who was um, just unapologetically um, supporting the faith. They always seem to be going, well, I believe except this, this, and this, and so you had the struggle of, gosh, am I to be the only believer around here? Now that has changed over the interim. Now you don't hear that kind of thing anymore. So the environment changed, but that was a struggle originally. Yeah, so that was a struggle with people, but in general, most of the struggle was not
Yeah.
with people.
Well, what about the environment changed that made the struggle different? That would be interesting.
Uh, the environment changed in that the old sort of yes but and people that kind of comment is
Yeah.
now very rare. The people may well still have those problems and those exceptions,
Right.
but I don't hear the people bringing them up anymore.
Hmm. Yeah. You know what I found interesting, but I don't want to digress. I'm glad I'm getting you to take this over and do this, but I think I could interject here. Um, so I came back to Davis, and I'm working with these groups that my mother started. Richard knew my mother. When he was a PhD candidate, she rented to him, and so she was involved with forming these organizations that to deal with food insecurity, and the coalition became what is it called? It became the food bank of the county. And there was a community meals program that Bill Pride, her friend, she suggested he do it, and he did it. So when I came back to Davis after she died, I went back to all these people who I'd met before and said, I want to come here and see if I can support it. Now, when you said the circumstances had changed, when my mother was out there doing this, getting food to the food insecure farm laborers was a critical issue. The standard of living in the state of California and the economy at the time, people weren't struggling terribly as they are now. So when I came back, and for over a period of time, like I'd bring soup to the rotating shelters, or I'd go by the community meals, the people who were there changed. And they were not, I think there are only 194 homeless people in the whole city of Davis. But the people who showed up were the retired people on a low income. And with every other, they might still own their car, they might still own their home, but they were having trouble with the cost of food, which is real high right now. So, in dealing with that struggle, the city of Davis has come up with these free food distribution centers, not just going out to steak or going out to the Yellow Food Bank. And people will come to them. Like I dropped off some stuff yesterday and today, and I saw the people coming in, driving their cars up, and the people in the restaurants next door coming out and picking up stuff because it says free food for all. So you find that you have a sense of a silent hunger crisis going on, just because when everything gets budgeted out for the month, people are struggling. If it's what was it that $15 for a nugget chicken salad, a pint. I thought for sure, that I was looking at it and it wasn't completely the case. What you're finding is the cost of food is incredibly high, and yes, there are affluent people in Davis, they can still do that, but there are an increasing number of people who can't. So I wanted to interject that, but I don't want to digress because I'm curious what Neetson's drawing now.
Do you see anything that connects to your story here, Richard?
No.
Well, I don't blame you. I mean, it's clearer to me than it is to you. But here's what it is.
Are you're saying in your picture? Do I see anything that connects?
Yeah, let me explain it to you. See, you said how in the beginning, let's take this as it's going to read from, well, that's right to left. That's left to right, right? That's like English, right? From left to right. I come from the other direction. So you spoke about how in the beginning at this end, you were trying to go in this direction and find people who had your faith. And the people you were coming up against were disagreeing and not resonating with you. And then as time went on, you had more and more of the people in this direction who were in your direction. That's what I painted.
Oh.
See how you progressed out of a state of being in great disagreement in the other direction of these people. And now you have found a great number of people in your direction, and they much more fill your life than in the past. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, this observation, when I've talked about it at church, the reaction of the people were yeah, that's what's happened. I guess a version we had was, you couldn't find anybody who was sort of unapologetic. And then and that now a child cannot throw their teddy bear without hitting somebody who was unapologetic.
There you go.
It wasn't just me that found that. Others recognized that there had been a change, or at least Vince DiCarlo. Maybe not others. I should be careful about that. The Vince DiCarlo, he recognized the same thing. That there had been a change. Now, it may well be that people are just being quiet about their struggles and just not talking about those things now where they did before. And that is what has changed.
Gene, did my explanation satisfy your question? What was happening here?
Oh yeah, I like it. And Richard responded to understanding it.
Yeah.
So now, Richard, you mentioned something I'm very curious about, if you'd be willing. Was there a struggle when you took care of your father? Or is that another one of your wrestling matches that you won?
A
wall.
I suppose there were difficulties associated with it. But admittedly, he thought it was harder than, in some sense, than I did.
You.
But there was the struggle of, though I almost enjoyed the trying to figure out how to make him comfortable, admittedly. And of course, he had to struggle with the pain, and I was, I was figuring out, well, let's try this, let's try that, and we keep trying various things until we deal with the pain. So no, I didn't see that necessarily as one of the big struggles.
Well, you know what? That's beautiful. Let's end with what isn't a struggle. That your achievement here with you and your father, he was struggling and you were flowing.
Yeah, I suppose so. During that period, I was taking care of him, and I wasn't working, so it wasn't necessarily that I was doing more during that period than I was normally.
You sound like an engineer. You're assessing something now. We'll know it in millimeters or moles or something. But if we just look at it from the heart.
I guess
he was going through something,
and
it was not easy for him.
No, very difficult.
And yet for you, it was. You tell me, what words should I put in this instead of he had his struggle and you had what? I mean, I used the word.
Oh well, yeah, I was glad to do something for my parents. Maybe I felt that I hadn't done enough for my parents, and I think I was glad to do something for my parents. And my sister, I did the job of taking care of them, and my sisters had at times apologized for that, and I said, no. You raised a couple of sons. You've done your part, and I don't have any children, so I figured I'd owe them.
Well, I will share with you in my story of my father when he was after a second heart attack, and I would come every evening to change his diaper and clean him up because the person who was there left. So for 3 months, I would come and do that work. And he would look at me and he said, "Why are you doing this? I was so mean to you." But for me, it was an act of love. It was a beautiful opportunity for me to give him. And so when he could have been more loving to me, he missed out. But I had the opportunity. And for me, it was so precious to be able to be with him. And not everything is in words, just presence. Just to be present with him and clean him up and listen to him. And that was a beautiful thing because he was present so much more differently when he was he wasn't powerful anymore. And so he was really defenseless and powerless, and in that state of being naturally grateful, I had the enormous honor, privilege, precious time You know, if someone else would have taken care of him, I would have missed this. And so, does that resonate with you at all, Richard?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, most certainly, I don't think I resented the whole thing, though he sort of apologized, and I was going, nope, I owe you this, and glad to do it.
And Gene, what have you got to add to this?
Well, I'm certainly glad Richard did this. I worked real hard on editing his article that was submitted today. So I went to see him at the end, and I said, "So now you have to come on the Art Improv." And he did. He showed up.
That's a
And
beautiful thing already. Yes.
I'm
that's
glad to
right.
do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I appreciate that, Richard, from the bottom of my heart, because I didn't want to have to be here. You know, we've had at Ask Neetson, we've had great people. Wouldn't you say we've had great people, Neetson?
Oh my gosh. Well, how
Yeah.
inspiring.
And I didn't want to have to go on and just have it be me and Neetson. All the last time we did, people responded very favorably. I wanted another person, and I'm so grateful to you, Richard, from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah.
Because what you said, either in word or in expression, as he's been drawing, it conveyed more than you're aware of.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
it's going to be
Very true. Very
yeah.
true. Very true. Just your presence, Richard. You know, even just your presence makes an impact here. And
Mhm.
and so now I will go through our prayer book, and you'll see what we produced here. I tell you. You might be surprised. Well, you might say, "Well, gee, I did that." Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I really like that.
All right. We have 5 pages in our prayer book. What we've done is we've come together with the intention of connecting in spirit, and in my interpretation, that is a prayer. When we have that intention. So here we are. Do you remember this, Richard? This one?
Yeah.
This is your struggle going through the numbers and winning this wrestling match with God that you in your in your search, it was so uncertain, and then you found a place to begin in a church. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Well, I hadn't thought of myself winning against God, but
Well, the way you described to me, every time I'm saying, "Where's the struggle?" and you always are telling me, "Well, that one wasn't," So if we're wrestling, I'm giving you the match. As the guy who has to give the points. Well, he won this one, and then here, you fasted for 3 days. You came into the fast with a struggle. There is our boy Richard, who just waltzes through life. What can I say? He comes with a struggle, and then as soon as he begins fasting, it's just a waltz. It's not even a struggle.
there was lots of struggle. Just the fast wasn't really all that much of a struggle.
And then here we do have a struggle. Finally, we have a struggle. This is the part that you in our in our conversation, you don't emphasize. If I would summarize Richard, well, he seems to go, he waltzes through this whole thing. But you did, let's say, I sense underneath that you have a struggle.
Sure, I think I've been straightforward about that. Yeah, there are lots of struggle.
And then here we have how you began where you were seeking to find people who shared your belief, and instead what you got are all these lines going, the energy going in the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then you did actually find, as time went on, more of what you were seeking, the people who were in your direction.
Well, what really sort of happened was it wasn't that one notes, it's just that one realized at some point, wow, things have changed,
Yes.
You're not, so it wasn't that one broke through and realized what was happening. It was more, things did change over time. And then suddenly one realizes we're dealing with a very different situation than we were before.
Well, I got to tell you that you've been very reserved through this. And then when you said, wow, I felt it.
Mm-hmm.
Just now, when you said, wow,
mm-hmm.
You let something out that was that you didn't share until now.
Mm-hmm.
And then here, I think, is a beautiful finale to our time together, where you were with your father. He was struggling, but for you, it was something that the joy and special moment of being able to serve him.
Amen.
Did I get that wrong, Richard?
Well, I don't. Admittedly, I don't think of it as particularly the joy of serving him, but I certainly believe that he deserved my efforts, and I was glad to give him those efforts.
Well,
But
you are in great. You are a fortunate, blessed man. Do you know why, Richard? Because right now I'm going to bless you. How about that?
oh, okay.
Here we go.
There we go. I'm going to give you the blessing that the Kohanim, the high priests, the priests gave to the children of Israel in the temple 2,000 years ago. Now it's it's 2,000. It's okay. So, ready?
Ready.
All right. I'm going to use the special hands of the priests. This is in Hebrew. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May the Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace.
Thank you.
Oh, mine. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
And so you find people. Thank you so much
Thank
for this
you.
time together.
Thank
God bless you.
Good night.
Good night.